Welcome from the short break. I hope we all enjoyed the corporate law class and we followed through. Know that we are available to answer questions on any area you do not understand. Now we proceed to business ethics. Business ethics, like I mentioned earlier, basically tells us how to run our businesses in an acceptable manner. Now you have incorporated your company, you know the process through from how you incorporate to when you decide you don't want to do business again and you decide to wind up your company, you know the process through it. Now, how do you manage your business to make it acceptable, to make it loved, to make it enjoy the goodwill of people? It means that you must have strong business ethics. And that is what we will look at in this section. So I encourage you to listen and pay attention. Thank you. Now, what is the concept of business ethics? What is business ethics all about? Business ethics is a form of professional ethics that examines moral and ethical problems that arise in business with a view to solving them. Ethics is the moral rules and guidelines which enable business organizations to enrich the capacity of the system within which they function. Why do we need business ethics? What is the importance of having good business ethics? Number one, it ensures that your business is conducted in a decent manner. Also, it establishes good corporate image and reputation for your company. When you carry out your business in a decent way, you follow sound governance principles, your company is known. Your company earns that reputation for good conduct and people want to do business with you. It also helps in building good interpersonal relationships, not just between you and your customers, but also among employees in an organization. Then it helps entrepreneurs, that is business owners, and employees know how to conduct themselves. You know how to behave within your business environment. Also, you attract genuine business investments when they know that you follow sound ethical standards. When they know you will not cut corners in your business, then genuine investors are willing to partner with you. It also forms the basis of various business decisions. Certain issues come up in business ethics. Business ethics are moral laws that involve a high sense of self-awareness and management in certain matters. Time management. You must make effective use of time and accomplish tasks within very reasonable time. It is an effective tool in business, and if you do not manage your time properly, your organization will suffer. And your organization will appear irresponsible when you cannot meet timelines. As a manager, you must be able to set and deliver on your timelines. Another issue is life goals programming. You must ensure that all your activities are programmed and set in line with the company's objectives, and ensure that all activities benefit stakeholders. You must also ensure personal grooming and consciousness. You must develop yourself to achieve optimal results. You must improve on your learning and skill acquisition. That is, you should be prepared to unlearn and relearn. Then you must have good human relations. As a manager, this is a very important tool in business. You are expected to behave politely at all times. Most customers or clients are attracted to well-behaved people in any business. If you are rude to your customers, you may get your money, but you will lose that customer. They will not come back to you. So you must ensure that you are polite. Even when your client is restless, you must be calm and make sure that you do not also lose your cool. Then you must strive for excellence. You must build on your strengths and endeavor to overcome weaknesses. You must make use of opportunities and pursue goals that will improve your image. Then another very important tool is self-discipline. Without self-discipline, you cannot achieve much in business. You cannot succeed on any business plan if you lack self-discipline. You must ensure discipline in every aspect of business. And another issue is having a high sense of responsibility and loyalty to your roles. You must be committed to your duties and act with integrity and honesty at all times. You must be able to conduct yourself appropriately at all times. Then when it comes to your superior officers and subordinates, as a manager, you know you have to work with both senior officers and those who would also work as your subordinates. You must ensure to treat everyone with utmost regard and discharge your duties to both parties effectively. You should not leave negative feelings or use insulting or embarrassing words on people, especially on your subordinates. Then you should also ensure that the company's suppliers and customers are happy and satisfied. You don't want to insult them or treat them in an awkward or impolite manner. If you do so, you may win at that point, but you will lose the customer. And if you are an employee and you have a reputation for insulting customers, trust me, you are not going to last in that organization. You must learn to exercise patience with your clients or customers so that at the end of the day, you achieve a win-win situation. You must endeavor to reach a middle point with your clients. Then you must effectively utilize resources to benefit and positively impact the host community. You can practice your CSR. You see those areas of the community which can be effectively handled under CSR, and you implement it. Then you must have a sense of responsibility towards your family, your community, and your nation. How you behave will ultimately affect them. If you commit a crime in the office, for instance, you steal at work, your family will ultimately be affected. They will be the ones running all over the place trying to see how to bail you out. So your conduct will ultimately affect them. In the same vein, when you do well in the office, you behave well in your office, in your place of business, you earn a good reputation. Your family, your community, they are proud of you. Everyone wants to be associated with you for your laudable achievements. So you don't want to put your family in a situation where they have to deal with very ugly and unpleasant situations. You must also have a high sense of probity. This is the quality of having moral principles, honesty, integrity, decency, uprightness of character, and a high sense of good moral behavior. So you must have a high sense of probity in dealing with matters that are confidential. You must handle confidential issues with a high sense of responsibility. Don't divulge business secrets or information to unauthorized persons. You must utilize resources properly and be sincere in reporting the financial status of the company. You must ensure prudence and thorough handling of all transactions. At all occasions and situations, you must ensure that you employ strong moral values and principles when handling challenges. You must make sure that you avoid collecting bribes. Tools of ethics. Tools of ethics are those components or measures adopted to ensure good conduct in business. They include values. Values are those behaviors that are generally acceptable to all, irrespective of ethnic background. They are acceptable standards of behavior that cut across all stakeholders in business. That is, those standards an organization is committed to. For example, some organizations will state their commitment towards superior service. Some values are not to harm others, like you find in the medical profession. And for lawyers, the value we hold on to is that where there is a right, there is a remedy. Values and objectives are closely related. All objectives have values in them. Why do we need values? It helps an organization to identify and focus on areas that need attention. It creates unity among stakeholders. It helps an organization do the right thing. And it helps in the development of positive attitude. Another tool of ethics is rights. Managers must ensure that they adhere to that which is morally right or correct, that which they can lay legitimate claim to. Another tool is loyalty. You must be loyal towards the organization and not to any individual. You should not say, you are Oga's boy, or you are the boy of Mr. So and so in the company. In any organization, you must not do that. Your loyalty is to the company and to the company's goals and objectives. Then fairness. All persons must be treated equally as much as possible. You must avoid workplace discriminations. Don't discriminate against anyone in a place of work. Then you must have a consistent behavior, that is principled behavior. You should be seen as one whose decision or position on a matter can be predicted. They should see you as one who would never support wrongdoing and be consistent in it. Then confidentiality. This is dealing with companies' confidential information responsibly. You should not take financial inducements. You should not collect money to expose the secrets of your company. Moral rules in human relations and common morality. Human relations is about building good interpersonal relations between management and employees, between superiors and their subordinates, and among employees of an organization. The philosophy of human relations is one that ensures that people with whom we work with in an organization are treated fairly, importantly, responsibly, and sympathetically whenever they come up with any complaint. The general well-being of the employee and his prospects for advancement is linked with the success of the organization. Another basis for good human relations is to ensure that the basic relationship of the individual is not jeopardized by government, labor union, or management activities. The fact that a person does not belong to a particular union in an organization should not make him feel uncomfortable working in that particular organization. Also, policies and practices of the company must safeguard the interest of workers. You must ensure that the company policy is in tandem with the interest of the workers to promote a proper work environment. Then you must ensure the provision of economic and social security for employees. You can help them through incentives. You can also create health schemes. Some organizations, for instance, have their employees listed on health insurance schemes so that when they or their dependents are sick, they can get medical attention. All this work for proper conduct and proper welfare of the employee. Then the society must also be free to safeguard its own rights. How do we achieve effective human relations? Number one, interpersonal communication. As a professional, learn to communicate effectively and politely. Remember that those you communicate with are humans too with feelings. Even when upset, you must manage your anger and be mindful of the kind of words you use on others. Also, you must provide motivational leadership with empathy. You must ensure to use words that promote human relations. For instance, you should not say I, you should use we. You should learn to say thank you. You must learn to say please. You must learn to show words that move the other person to feel that you sympathize with them and you can relate with what they feel. Then, what are the steps you can take in re-establishing long-term relationships between organizations and employee? Number one, you must establish a code and policies that is sustainable. You don't want to include policies that cannot be enforced or are oppressive on your employees. Then you must establish justice. Ensure that the principles of justice are well entrenched. You must ensure fairness. Make sure that everyone is treated as equally as possible. You don't let anyone feel that you favor a particular person against him or her in any organization. Then you must reestablish practices of honesty and transparency at all times. Honesty is very important in achieving good human relations. Then what are the pillars of common morality? Dignity. You must apologize for delays and as much as possible, see how you can remedy the situation to the victim. If you are late for a meeting, apologize. When you have done something wrong, apologize. Then you must ensure honesty. Ensure not to earn reputation as a liar. They should not see you as someone whose words are full of lies. You must disclose relevant information when necessary. You must also facilitate access to information to your colleagues You should not hoard information. Don't hoard knowledge. Don't say because you want to be the best in that department, then you now hide information or act in a dishonest manner with your colleagues. Then you must respond to inquiries promptly. Then fairness, you must ensure compensation is commensurate with loss. You must ensure speedy reconciliation and practice lessons in fairness to forestall future recurrence. You must establish a framework for monitoring ethical orientation. You must report ethical progress alongside financial progress. You must report progress plans to employees, industry associations, and community. Then there's also a need to prepare for lasting ethical solutions beyond the present issue. And you do that by updating your records. But by the way, common morality are those moral principles that is common to everyone, that everyone accepts as being right. Now, principles of business ethics. You have the principle of solidarity. We must be concerned with promoting each other's well-being. You don't work for the downfall of your colleague in the office. Show support to a colleague that needs it. Then you must act reasonably and intelligently at all times. Then you must maintain the same standard of judgment at all times. You must not be seen to be partial in any decision at all. Then you must learn to use effective and efficient means to resolve problems. Then you must refrain from willfully harming others. You should not target your colleague in the office or target a particular staff and say, I will make sure this person leave this place. Then you now start working towards the person's downfall. You must refrain from willfully harming others. Then you must handle your role diligently and with a strong sense of responsibility. You must take responsibility for your actions and ensure that you deliver on timelines. You must be diligent with your work. You must be hardworking. Situational factors in ethical business behaviors. This is about understanding those factors, those situations that lead to unethical behaviors in business. The factors include the need to understand the scope and scale of temptations to be unethical. And in doing this, the following questions need to be answered. What moral or legal issues have raised concerns in the past? How can these issues change and test the behavior of businesses? What are the new pressure points created by changes in technology? How well equipped is the organization in dealing with temptations created by new technology? The moral strength and weakness of the organization in overcoming these temptations. Now, in order to overcome those problems or to answer those questions which we have earlier raised, we will need to carry out an audit of the performances in the organization. And that audit is known as ethical auditing. It is a system of assessing how ethical standards have been adhered to. Now, to carry out this audit, first you must have clarity of purpose. What is the reason for embarking on this audit? You may want to examine, for example, the issue of poor attitude to work and how it can be addressed. Then you look at the type of topic. What kind of audit, what type of audit topic do you want to embark on? Then in what context, that is, in what managerial context do you wish to carry out the audit? You may wish to look at the ability or standpoint of management with regard to a given ethical issue. Then what process do you intend to adopt? Do you wish to use questionnaire? Do you wish to go from place to place, or ask people individually? Then what kind of people, what kind of resources, human resources, do you intend to use to carry out your audit? You should be careful at this point not to use only people specialized in ethics. You should also use people who can communicate effectively and intelligently in the course of the assignment. Then you must also consider analysis and reporting. You need to consider how you want to report, how you want to process the information you have gathered. Do you want to do it yourself, or do you want to outsource it? Then follow-up is very important. After concluding the audit, how do you check if your suggestion or solutions were considered? You can only do this through follow-up. The Nigerian Institute of Management has its own code of conduct. But before we come to that, let us ask ourselves, what is a code of conduct? It is a list of ethical principles and moral rules for members of an organization. Why is it important to have a code of conduct? It communicates corporate purpose clearly. You know the purpose that business was set up. Then it helps to identify corporate policies on controversial issues. You know where the company stands on any particular matter. Then it clarifies the expectations of stakeholders on matters relating to the company. Then it eliminates ignorance as an excuse for bad behavior. That means you cannot say you do not know that it is not company policy to use the official car for a private party. Then where you have good or sound code of conduct, it attracts customers and it ensures that the corporate goal of that organization is attained, and it boosts satisfaction of customers. How do we achieve a good code of conduct? It must be properly structured. Then it must prescribe and promote what is better than what is already in practice. Then you must consult all stakeholders. Everyone that will be affected by that particular code must be borne in mind, and they must be consulted. Then employees also should be involved in the code making process, because ultimately the employees are the ones this code of conduct will really apply to. Then there must be genuine and active support of business directors and senior executives preparing the code of conduct. The Nigerian Institute of Management has its own code of conduct, which we have summarized here. Number one, you must put service above self. Secondly, you must seek and employ more efficient and economical ways of getting things done. Then you must learn to accept the most transparent, honest, and ethical process of thought for all decisions. Then you must be free from all forms of fraudulent or corrupt practices. And you must learn to treat all individuals as equal. In summary, what code of conduct should you have as a manager? You must learn to create a clear and simple reality-based vision and be able to communicate it straightforwardly to all stakeholders. You must understand accountability and commitment, and you must be very decisive. You must love excellence. You must discourage bureaucratic red tape, that is the long process of getting things done and all the deficiencies that come with it, time wasting and all that. You must have self-confidence to empower others, and you must love teamwork. You should be able to be part of a good and workable team. Then you must be committed to efficient work output. Then you must stimulate and relish change as an opportunity. When a change is coming to an organization, or they are bringing in a new product or a new software, you should not see it as a witch hunt. You should not see it as a threat. Rather, you should embrace it, and you should be willing to learn and accommodate such change. Then you must have enormous energy, and you should be able to energize others. And you must be able to do things speedily, knowing that speed is a competitive advantage. We have all heard of social responsibility or corporate social responsibility. If I ask you, what is CSR? A lot of you will tell me when companies do things for their community or they build roads for their community. That is great. By definition, corporate social responsibility is a process through which business organizations deploy their resources to uplift the general welfare of residents in the community in which they carry out their activities. Now, what are social responsibility strategies? What strategies do companies employ to carry out corporate social responsibility? Firstly, they do that by initiating and supporting worthy community initiatives, such as building schools, hospitals, roads, and the like. Protecting the environment from pollution. They ensure that the environment wherein they operate is safe from any form of pollution. They also create employment, even for physically challenged persons, and they ensure fairness and justice in all activities that they carry out, so that no community feels sidelined. They also work towards the common good of all residents in that particular community by citing projects that will be of benefit to everyone. And they obey relevant rules and regulations provided by their host communities. For instance, payment of taxes, payment of dues, and payment of levies where applicable. So, in empowering and employing impact of corporate social responsibility on communities. It helps in increased physical and mental development by engaging the youths in that particular community. It also helps in building the corporate goodwill of a company in a society. It helps in reducing crime, promoting sports, promoting arts and culture. It also helps in discovering new talents through competitions, shows, sponsorship of programs. It helps in increasing maintenance culture and lifespan of infrastructure in any community. It also helps in increased social welfare and increased community and life expectancy ratio of members in a particular community. Professor Friedman has his own position on corporate social responsibility. As far as he was concerned, an organization has only one responsibility, that is maximizing profits for its shareholders while operating within the ambit of the law. For him, it is the organization's responsibility to respect all laws which would protect public interest, and going beyond this would mean taking shareholders' hard-earned money and give to others. For him, the only social responsibility a company has is to use its resources to increase profits within established legal framework. What are the limitations of corporate social responsibility? Number one, you'll find that there is indiscriminate use of corporate resources, which may reduce investment funds and shareholders' gain. In other words, funds that are supposed to be used for the benefit of the company and probably pay dividends of shareholders are directed into corporate social responsibility. Then you have instances where government offloads its responsibilities on corporate bodies. Take, for instance, the building of roads, the provision of healthcare, which ordinarily is basic responsibility of government. Government may abandon these responsibilities to corporate bodies to carry out. Then corruption also thrives if government's responsibilities are handled by private organizations. For instance, the funds that are allocated to carry out a particular public service by the government will be manhandled and probably end up in private pockets because they know that private organizations will take over that responsibility. Then it limits the ability of the private sector in social welfare. Then CSR can be diversionary. Managers may lose focus of the fundamental business of the company. They may lose focus of ensuring the company makes profits and direct all their energy towards a particular project, all in the name of corporate social responsibility. Social audit. A social audit is a way of measuring, understanding, reporting, and ultimately improving an organization's social and ethical performance, including its corporate social responsibility. It looks at the general practice in a particular organization. It appraises its manner of carrying out the social responsibility, at the same time also examines the ethical performance and ethical practice being carried out in a particular organization. What are the advantages of social audit? It trains the community in participatory local planning. Notable members of the community are able to take part in planning the welfare of the members of the community. It also encourages local democracy, as the opinion of members of a society are sought, and it also encourages accountability to stakeholders. It encourages community participation in corporate activities, particularly through CSR. It benefits the disadvantaged groups in a community by providing for their welfare. It develops human resources. It promotes collective decision-making and sharing responsibilities with stakeholders in a win-win situation. It also promotes corporate ethics and social impact. Then it is also a way of marketing the particular company in a locality. When you want to carry out a social audit, what do you require? First of all, you require a clear organizational objective. What is the objective of that particular organization in carrying out that social audit? You require clear action plans. How do you intend to go about it? Then, clear mode of recording and measuring performance. Then you must involve stakeholders. You must involve those you want to audit in that particular assignment. Then you must have a clear time commitment from top management. they should be able to create time to take part in that audit. Then you must be willing to share information among the different stakeholders. What are the objectives of social audit? Why would you want to embark on a social audit? What is the aim? What is achieved by carrying out social audit? It helps in assessing the physical and financial gaps between the needs of a community and the resources available for local development. It also creates awareness among the beneficiaries and the providers of local social and productive services. It helps in increasing the efficiency and effectiveness of local development programs. It helps in various policy decisions, bearing in mind the interest of stakeholders and also prioritizing those aspects that need to really be catered for. Then it helps in estimating the opportunity cost for stakeholders of not getting timely access to public service. What are the challenges of social audit? Number one, inability to achieve all-round fairness in process of carrying out the audit. Then not all social welfare programs are based on a valid data. Then you also have the absence of a well-conceived information system as part of a welfare program. Then individual programs also tend to interfere with the social audit, thereby posing a problem to the social auditor. Some organizations see social auditing as a witch hunt, so they are not willing to accept it. Once you say you want to carry out a social audit, they start to panic and they would not welcome that audit. How do we overcome the challenges? First of all, we must seek clarifications from the agency implementing the social audit about any decisions they have made. This will clear any doubt in the minds of the stakeholders. Then you must clearly scrutinize all existing schemes and local activities of the auditing agency. Then you must access registers and documents relating to all development activities. Then most importantly, you must sell the program to all stakeholders to ensure their participation and cooperation. Because if they don't believe in what you are about to embark on, they will not cooperate and that audit is likely to fail. Then, what is the method in carrying out a social audit? First of all, you must gather background information about the organization to identify areas to audit. Then you must decide on the method of collecting data and information. Then you must train the officers that you intend to take part in the audit. You must carry out actual data collection and field visits to verify information and documents. You don't just base all your findings on theories. You must actually go there to have a practical experience of what you are embarking on. Then you collate your data and arrange it, and you prepare your report. Then distribute that report to the stakeholders. You follow up to ensure that what you have recommended is implemented by the organization. We want to conclude by looking at the recommendations that will make a social audit effective. First of all, you must have clarity of purpose and goal. You must be clear on the purpose of that audit and what you intend to achieve. Then you must identify stakeholders and focus on their specific role and duties. Then there must be key performance indicators. You must also ensure regular meetings to review and discuss your data, and also review and discuss information on your performance indicator. Finally, you must follow up on all social meetings. This brings us to the end of business ethics and of course the entire course on corporate law and business ethics. If you have any questions or you need to clarify any aspect of this lecture, kindly do so by notifying us. Thank you very much for listening.